Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you again so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at CRO Coin, see what's going on. This is a request from one of my community members here, one of our newer members, if I'm not mistaken here. So who was asking for CRO? Kane. Thank you, Kane, for the request. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the macro perspective to kind of see what's going on. I did look and see there's no real liquidation data available on High Block Capital, so we're going to skip that here. But there's still a lot that can be done with out that. We can see there is some liquidation above about 21 to 23 and a half cents as a rough estimate. But generally speaking, what we're going to look at is this overall trend because it's starting to trend downwards, and then also understanding key level supports based on macro movements. So generally speaking, when you have this kind of movement here, you want to respect the trend and just ensure that you're not trading against it. So right now, honestly, at this point, a long doesn't make a ton of sense just from the daily time frame here. Okay, now we look at this macro perspective here. We can see 17 cents was at previous resistance, kind of worked as a support level, but we lost that recently, and it came back up to retest that level. So that's going to reaffirm itself as a resistance. So 17 cents, if you just kind of remember that, is a good resistance level. So if you're considering a short, that may be a good consideration. You don't short in the blind. We reevaluate when we get there, but for right now, that's tentative resistance. We'll draw out some new fibs. I'll go ahead and update our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord to give you some perspective. But for right now, actually, hold on. Are these? I think these are, yeah, this is a macro fib. This actually works for now. I'll get you some updates, of course, here soon, but generally speaking, this is still relevant to kind of give us perspective of support. That would imply that this 13-cent range, plus or minus 0.2, 0.3, gives us potential of consideration for the price to pivot or bounce off that range. Now, again, it's not a guarantee. Fib levels are strictly speculative. They're more forecasting tools. So if you're following like Elliott wave analysis, no offense against them, but if that's all you're using, that's just really, really dim-witted. Okay, because again, fib levels are cool. Don't get it wrong. It looks all nice on the charts and everything, but at the end of the day, you can't rely on them solely, right? We look at other things too. So again, there's some relevancy, but for the most part, that is a potential support range we get there. We don't see a ton of confluence there, honestly. If we kind of zoom out and we look at the larger time frame points of control, we can obviously see people are heaviest at 9 cents. We zoom in a little bit, we can kind of recognize here in the local range, it'll be a bit higher, where we're going to see some resistances above us. And again, volume is generally construed as a resistance or support, depending on which side you're on. So heaven forbid, we cross 17 cents, we may see resistance at 19. I'm rounding up a little bit, 17 and 19 cents. Based on previous daily candlestick closures and areas of interest, kind of imply that we're going to see some resistance here soon if we recover. Again, a lot of that would require us to essentially break this descending trend line, which hasn't happened yet. So a lot of times coins in this situation will just continue to do this, right? A lot of it depends on Bitcoin. This has been following Bitcoin fairly consistently lately. So let's look at a few other things instead of speculating. Just like to get that out there so you all kind of understand, how to properly read the charts. Been doing this for 20 plus years. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. And this, at the end of the day, this is, for you to learn. So I hope you can. If you want a little bit more, cryptocash.tech is a site link down below. I've got a trading academy, community, and signals group. Quick thank you to my community for the awesome feedback. We got some good profits here from Bitcoin. What was it? BNB, ICP, and then of course late last week WIF and Pepe as well. So good results there. But our Premium Plus is just killing it. Solana, SUI, Bitcoin, XRP, ICP, Chainlink. Took a lot of longs earlier today. But I think those longs are maxed out tentatively, and that might be the same thing here with CROcoin too. So let's go ahead and peek over at the daily time frame. We're going to look at the stochastic and RSIs. We're pretty much in bear town here, though, folks. Under 50 on the RSI. Money flow index, while it's above, it's not the best gauge right now based on so much selling pressure, but it tells us we're seeing a little bit more buying pressure in the relevant recent past. We can see stochastic pulling back. We can see MACD diverging, but you take a look at this volume here, folks. -1 volume candle, basically a pump and dump. You saw that, one day up, one day down. But there's no reason to take a long position just yet. I would say 13 cents seems like a much better probability, or more importantly, a much better consideration for dollar cost averaging if you're considering a long. You don't just set a limit order on a leveraged position in the blind, because that may never happen, but for starters, if it does happen, you can get instantly liquidated if the price continues to run, especially if Bitcoin continues to pull back like it has. Having said that, though, let's tighten this up a little bit here, and what we're going to do is look at the SMAs in the 4 hour and kind of just get perspective on what that looks like here. Okay. So 4-hour time frame, we can recognize that we're below every single moving average. This is not a favorable situation. Being below the 20 and the 50, just generally construed as bearish. Now, you can sometimes find benefit of buying the dip if you see RSI overextended or money flow overextended, but it's not. It basically implies that there's enough selling pressure, but there's not hardly any buying pressure right now. Okay, and there's no reason to buy into that. It doesn't make a ton of sense to try to, swim upstream, so to speak. So I highly recommend just kind of pumping the brakes and not really taking a long position unless you insist on adding to your spot bag. And if so, 15 cents, 14 cents, some of those round numbers are appropriate considerations for longs, because this coin does have a tendency of running when it does, but it doesn't look like it wants to right now. There's no reason for it from a technical standpoint. We can see stochastic is swinging up, MACD's kind of converging here. These can be little forecasting tools letting you know that the shift in momentum is occurring. Because again, you look at TD sequential, we can see we're overextended twice. So we've basically been running for 72 hours in the downward direction here, or just about 72 hours. So typically that's why you see things happen in threes, right? Where you have 3 strong green days followed by a red day. 72 hours is effectively 3 24-hour candles. So we can see here, we've seen a lot of divergences. It would make sense for the price to recover just based on natural capitulation. But I don't choose to take longs myself in situations like that because it's just a higher risk and low reward situation. Unless you watch it close and you're a day trader, this shouldn't apply to you. You shouldn't be considering a long as a swing trade. Again, I'm solely a swing trader now. I day traded for a while, but a bunch of white hair on my beard later. I prefer swing trading, even though yes, you hold overnight, it can be inherently more stressful. My risk tolerance is super conservative, so I don't really have any concerns. Again, you should too. If you kind of want to learn more about that, I recommend joining our community. But for the most part, there's nothing we see here that's good, right? Lagging span is getting close to the price action. It's like a slight consolation. Conversion line is a little bit above the baseline, but as you can see, this is what happened last time. Bump it up and dump it down, right? We could very well still continue to see that until it shifts. So the best way to interpret this or to identify a shift in momentum is to look for range-bound activity. So hypothetically, the price could continue to range like this, and then once it breaks that range and establishes higher highs and higher lows, that's when you want to get in. That's once the trend has essentially shifted, right? For right now, if you're going to try to take a long, you're basically trying to drive into oncoming traffic. It can be done, it's just not recommended, okay? So again, just some food for thought there. I like to help educate folks as much as possible. I'm not a moon boy, you'll never hear that from me, and I think some of them should be reprimanded, to say the least. I don't watch any other content, but I get some folks in my community that talk about these other idiots out there, and it's unfortunate. It's a real thing. Anyways, I'm just always going to shoot you straight. That's the whole point. I hope you found benefit here today. Obviously, hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. Thanks again for being an awesome part of my life. If you're not already using our Bitunix link to register, you always get some really nice deposit bonus rewards and or trading competitions. These happen basically monthly or bi-monthly. So 12K deposit bonus this month if you take advantage of that. If not, they're just a phenomenal exchange, no KYC or VPN required, but use my link, you'll be eligible for any future trading competition. Last but not least, I'm going to post a playout chart here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord shortly. It looks a little something like this if you're not familiar. Be sure to check that out. I kind of give you some updates on coins that I cover, and I essentially post a chart every time I analyze a coin. So it's all there for you. I hope you have a good rest of your day, though. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you again soon. Take care.